What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today, I'm going to be talking about the brand new mechanic that is coming to One Piece Treasure Cruise Japan. Now, it's not coming to global yet. I would expect this to probably come out, you know, maybe March or April next year for global, but you never know, things may change. Maybe we'll get something in December, maybe it'll come in January, maybe it is the anniversary, I don't know. It's too hard to really say at this point. But this is a very interesting mechanic, the versus mechanic. This is something that a lot of people have been wanting to see in the game, and we finally have it. I mean, people didn't really expect it to be like a whole new mechanic. People were just kind of expecting it to be just different styles of duel units, you know, same sort of thing with the switch ability, but they've gone ahead and made it like a whole separate thing. Now, you can't see everything in this image here, but with the versus mechanic, you don't actually have the ability to switch into the separate character. It just, at the start of the quest, you choose, do you want to be, you know, in this instance, do you want to be Big Mom or do you want to be Kaido, both of which have differing captain effects and slightly different specials as well. So it's very interesting that, you know, there's different effects with that. And then on top of it, there's also a little gauge on the side of the character, which you can fill up and then activate and get another additional ability throughout the run. So it's just a really interesting mechanic, and I thought, you know, what kind of other characters could they really explore with the versus mechanic? And there are a couple that automatically came to mind. I think I talked about them in my video yesterday, but I did a little bit more thinking and just thinking about different characters that they could apply. I haven't really thought too much about what their abilities could be, but just, you know, just the fact that these characters could definitely be versus units in the future has me so excited. So let's go ahead and jump into my little document here. So I have a little document here with a bunch of different icons. So the first one here is Ace and Blackbeard, obviously on Banara Island, you know, the big battle between Ace and Blackbeard. I think this would be a perfect character to release, maybe not as like an anniversary style unit, but definitely as a Sugo Fest exclusive, this would be awesome. This specific battle was quite important in the series. Obviously, it led to the events in Marineford, so I do think that this should be a pretty headline, like a really big headline character that I think a lot of people would probably summon for, because, you know, Blackbeard, I wouldn't say is like extremely popular, but he's a relatively popular villain. And Ace is one of the most popular characters in the series, and he's not even alive, and he's still one of the, you know, most beloved characters in the series. So I think this would like sell really well to people on Bandai's financial point of view, and I think that as a character they could really implore some really amazing abilities on this character. The next one that I have here, I think this was coming. This has to be coming at some point. How many times in this game have we had a Sakazuki versus Kuzan event? We've had countless of those, and now that they've introduced a versus mechanic, this would have to be one of the top characters that are going to be on their list in some fashion coming probably next year. I would say if this mechanic is coming right now in JP, I think this character has to come sometime in 2021 for sure. Now, for the colors here, like, I mean, we can talk about the colors really quick, but I'm not really too sure what colors I'd put these characters. I just put Sign Int for Blackbeard and Ace right now. But then for these guys, you know, typically we see Sakazuki be a strength character. Kuzan is typically a quick character. I just feel like if they're going to do a versus unit, instead of just being very basic and what we would expect, maybe just flip the colors, make a quick Sakazuki and a strength Kuzan. I think that'd be a really awesome ability to have. And then, like, obviously, if you have the additional ability on top of that, you know how they have a little gauge that they can fill up. You know, if you choose Sakazuki and you fill up his gauge, maybe when you launch his versus ability, maybe it's like it implores like a lava effect on the enemy, and it's like end of turn damage, kind of like a toxic sort of thing. And then with Kuzan, you know, he's got ice abilities, so what if he just like delays all enemies for one turn, something like that. That'd be super interesting if they, you know, just did something like that for Kuzan and Sakazuki, because this would be like one of the highest priority versus units that I would love to see in the game. This character would be so freaking epic. And of course, if you guys have any thoughts and opinions on, you know, certain abilities you'd like to see for the characters I show here, or, you know, potentially you've got your own versus characters that you'd like to see, because there's plenty of characters that could definitely be put into the game. Alright, so the next one is going to be, okay, this is one of my favorite ones that I was thinking of when I was making this. This is one of the last ones I made, and I'm just thinking, like, you know, what other ones could you really put in that would be extremely hype? And I think for massive fans of the One Piece series, this would be an absolutely phenomenal way to not only give us a brand new Sengoku legend, a brand new Garp legend, but also a brand new Shiki legend all in one, where you have Shiki the Golden Lion versus the two powerhouses of the Marines at the time, Admiral Sengoku and Vice Admiral Garp. Dude, this would be absolutely amazing. You know, this wouldn't be classified as like a dual unit, of course. You know, you just have like one side of the character would be both Garp and Sengoku out at the same time, and then the other side is Shiki. Now, I don't really know what they could do with this. Like, there are so many different ways they could go about it. Like, he could be a color captain. I really hope they don't go down that route. I mean, like, with the one that I just talked about previously, I think this could definitely be a color captain. But for this, I would hope that, you know, maybe it's like a rainbow captain or a class captain, maybe like a fighter side, like a fighter, cerebral, free spirit, something like that. And then this could be like driven, striker, shooter, or something. Like, different class boosts on different sides would be pretty freaking epic. As for the versus ability for this one, I'm not really too sure. I feel like it would be definitely damage based. Or maybe it could be orb manipulation. That would be pretty interesting as well, because versus abilities cannot be like removed from the enemy, and like they can't be interrupted, I'm pretty sure. So that also could be interesting. But this would be another like a really top priority one that I would love to see in the game. This would be so freaking cool, dude. Next, this is the number one character, hands down. This is the number one character I want to see as a versus character in the game, and I think this is definitely going to be coming for sure at some point. Snake Man Luffy versus Charlotte Katakuri. Yes, for sure, 100% this has to happen at some point. Considering how many times now that we've had a Luffy versus Katakuri event, well, we had the initial release of V2 Katakuri with Snake Man, and then during the 6-year anniversary on JP, they released a brand new Snake Man and a new Katakuri together on the same Sugo Fest. So I do think that another Luffy versus Katakuri event could definitely happen in the future, and it would be just absolutely amazing if they did. A new character of those characters, but instead of separate Sugo Fest exclusives, combine them together in a versus unit. Yes, please. I'm all for it. Thank you very much. That would be so epic. All right, next one. Okay, this one would be really cool. Now, I did see a figure, like a figurine from Ben Presto flying around Twitter recently, and it was like a combination where you get one figure and you get another figure, and then they have like a base on the figure that combines together, so it's a Luffy and a Kid character from when they're in the Udon prison, and I think that would be a wicked versus character to have. Now, obviously, they don't really like full-on fight each other, but it's more like, you know, a competition between the two whilst they're in the prison, and I think that would be just really awesome to have as a versus character. Now, a lot of these characters in here are Luffy characters, because Luffy has the best fights in the series, what we've seen for the most part. So I think that it would be still really cool to have Luffy and Kid together as a Sugo Fest exclusive. You know, whether it be a versus unit, or even just as like a generic dual unit as well, I'd be totally fine with that as well. And I still think as another dual unit, like Kid and Killer needs to happen at some point too, or Kid and Kamazo, for example. But for sure, Luffy and Kid as a versus or a dual legend, yes please, would love to see that as well. Be so freaking cool. Next one, yes, Luffy and Rob Lucci. Again, one of the best fights in the series, and I think it would be awesome to see more representation of Rob Lucci. Unfortunately, like, the one bad thing I really don't like about this unit is it would be like another pre-time skip legend Lucci, because I am still a very, very strong advocate of a CP0 legend Lucci at some point. So I would love to see it, but it's just a matter of when that's ever going to happen. But, you know, you cannot deny that, you know, Luffy versus Lucci was one of the most monumental fights in the series, and to give a representation in a versus dual unit for sure needs to happen. I don't know how much of a higher priority this character would actually be, because number one, it's another legend Luffy, but number two, like Rob Lucci, I don't know if he's a relatively popular character, but I think for representation of that fight in particular, yes, it would be wicked to see it as a versus dual unit. And I think that if they did have like a versus gauge ability, it would be something just like boosting your crew's attack for like multiple turns or something. Like, what if it was just like a flat out like 1.75 boost that's like a 99 turn buff for the rest of the fight, and the enemy cannot remove it. Kind of like what the Kaido ability is with Kaido and Big Mom, because it does state that the enemy can't remove it. So I don't know if that legitimately means that while you have it active and the enemy removes your buffs, that it just doesn't get removed, or does it just mean that the enemy cannot interrupt it? Because if the enemy cannot remove it, then just having a flat out 1.75 buff all the time, on top of like having, you know, probably a 5 times captain effect, would be kind of crazy. So I don't know what they're going to go with this, but like I would love to see Luffy Rob Lucci for sure. All right, now this one, this is look, I don't want to get into too much or too many spoilers, but this I think is in many people's top lists of characters they would love to see in One Piece Treasure Cruise, and I'm definitely in that same party as well. I would love to see a versus unit of Goldie Roger and Edward Newgate. This would be, honestly, one of the most hype points of One Piece in general, and, you know, having it as a character in One Piece Treasure Cruise, dude, I think people would actually lose their minds. I would lose my wallet. I would lose everything to this character, especially if it... I mean, look, with the characters they have on it, if it's not the best character in the game, then they're definitely doing it wrong. If this character ever does release in Treasure Cruise, it would have to be like top 3 best characters in the game with extremely long lifespan, that's able to, you know, basically just go on forever. Like, it'd have to be a 5 times captain with awesome utility as a captain as well. Very similar to like Shanks' crew, where they've got like that remove 10 turns of special bind. Something similar to that, like remove 10 turns of like 2 different debuffs, damage reduction, health boost maybe, beneficial slots. Like, just make it, just give him everything. Just make him legitimately the best character in the game, because he needs to be if it's going to be something like this. So yeah, this is I said Luffy Katakuri is my number 1. If this was actually going to be a thing, yes, this would be my number 1 most wanted versus character. And this is the final one that I have here. I really wanted to put some Zoro representation in the video as well, but when I was really thinking about it, there wasn't really like too many Zoro fights that I can really think of that were like, you know, top tier number 1. I think the importance of the Zoro versus Mihawk fight at the Baratier, I think that would be an awesome versus unit, even though Zoro got absolutely clapped. But I think it would still be interesting if they did, you know, a Zoro character that is potentially like a slasher and a driven captain that has really good recovery or damage reduction, and then you had the other side, which was Mihawk, which is like a slasher and a free spirit, or a slasher and a cerebral captain, and instead of having like lots of damage reduction and healing, he would just be like all out offense with lots of beneficial slots and stuff like that. I think that would be very interesting if they just did something along those lines. Yeah, that would be really cool. But I mean, other Zoro representation you could have, like Zoro and Pika, for example. I don't know if they do a legend of this one in particular, but like, you know, Zoro and Mr. One. I don't know if that would be a Sugofest exclusive. Zoro and Pika potentially could be a Sugofest exclusive. That one could be. You know, maybe like a Luffy Taro Zoro duo versus Hawkins in Wano Kuni would also be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure once Wano Kuni wraps up, we're going to be seeing some more Zoro representation in the game. Like, I think Zoro definitely deserves another high tier Sugofest exclusive. I think honestly, Zoro Juro could be another super type captain coming very soon. I could definitely see that being a thing. But yeah, there we go, guys. That's all of the icons that I have here in this video today, but there's lots of really cool characters that they could really go with at this point. I still think that this one would actually surprise me if they ever did it. And if they did do it, I'd be so hyped for it, because yes, they need to do it, because every single character on this icon needs a new Sugofest exclusive, and this would be the best way to do it. But anyways, as I said, leave down below in the comment section if you guys have any of your own thoughts and opinions about different versus characters, and if so, maybe what abilities do you want to give them, or a specific versus gauge ability, or even any of the characters in this video. If you saw one that was really inspiring, what certain abilities would you give to that character? But that is going to wrap up this video today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.